I guess I'll introduce myself.
Yes,
John
please.
Hanna with the Associated Press. Can you give us a little biographical information about yourself? How old are you? What you're doing for a living? You live in Overland Park, as I understand it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, talk a little bit about it.
Thank you. Well, I'm 51 years old. I live in South Johnson County. I live in Overland Park, Kansas with my husband Kyle. And we have 3 children. My son Adam is a graduate of University of Missouri, KC, but he also played football for the great Bill Snyder. He is now actively employed at KC TV5 in Kansas City as one of their sports reporters and anchor. My daughter Ariel is going to attend KU Medical School. She'll be having her white coat ceremony on July 22nd. And my youngest son Christian is a state champion with Blue Valley Northwest High School. Starting right tackle. And he will be attending the University of Nebraska-Lincoln in the fall.
There have only been 2 Democratic Secretaries of State since
Correct.
1961. Why do you think you'll be the 3rd?
Well, because we're living in the art of the impossible. Not only has there only been 2 Democratic Secretaries of State, there's never been a woman, there's never been an African American. And as my mother would say, if not now, when? And if not us, then who? So what makes me think
You talked about a goal of increasing ballot access.
Yes.
What steps need to be taken to do that?
Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to implement the laws that are currently on the books. People ought to be able to vote at the polling place most convenient to them. There is absolutely no reason that we should be making it hard for people of Kansas to cast their ballots. What are we afraid of? We need more people to put their ballot box into a place where it can be picked up and counted. There's nothing nefarious in casting your vote. So the very first thing I'm going to do is implement the laws that we have overwhelmingly, by our representatives, said that we wanted to have in the state.
Andrew Ball, Peak Capital Journal.
Andrew?
Some have commented that in recent years there have been a deficit of people of color running for statewide office in Kansas. As best I can tell, you are the nominee, which seems like you will be. You'll be the first woman of color to be a nominee for a major party in the first statewide office. Could you comment on that, and do you find it notable, given that you are running for the office that controls or that administers, handles elections in Kansas?
Well, first of all, thank you for that question. I appreciate the opportunity to address that. Several things. One, women are the foundation of this country. Number 2, our wonderful Democratic Party has always relied upon black women to shore us up. As I had mentioned before in my speech, my mother was a fierce advocate, came through the civil rights movement. Her parents came through Jim Crow. Her grandparents came immediately through Reconstruction, and her great-grandparents came through slavery. My 2 aunts, 2 of my mother's sisters, are here to support me today. And in our family, we understood that the only limits that we placed upon ourselves were internal. It was our responsibility, and I want to say this clearly, it is my responsibility to serve this country, to improve it. And just because there hasn't been one before, right now is the best time to have a black female be your Secretary of State. No better time than now.
Is there a law, an election law in the books in Kansas that you, or 1 or 2 that you would like to see repealed?
Well, I'm going to be very, very honest with you. We have a very wonderful and liberal constitution because we were founded by abolitionists. And 2, there are a lot of laws, election laws, that I'm studying right now. My job between now and when I win on November 8th and take office and get sworn in is to make sure I'm extremely familiarized with all those laws. But what I will tell you is not a law in the book, but what is coming to us from the opposition is rhetoric that is saying things like we're going to remove drop boxes so that people have to go somewhere specific to cast their ballot. Those are things that just aren't going to happen under my administration. It's just not.
How are you on mail ballot elections? I've heard some Democrats talk about the idea has been floated of just mailing every registered voter a ballot and allowing them to send it in. That's something the Secretary of State, other Republicans have resisted.
Well, I'm going to make sure I always resist the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Republican Party. But I will say for myself, I personally go and vote in person. And I'll tell you why. I know that people who looked like me walked sometimes miles and hours and got sent from place to place to place, ultimately to be denied the right to vote. So myself, my husband, our children always go and vote at our polling place. That being said, we've just come through a global pandemic. I just lost my mother to COVID. I understand the importance of every citizen having the right to vote, and if it's made easier by having a ballot sent to their home that they can fill out, that we can have verified, let's stop on that we can have verified, mail it back in and have that ballot counted, I'm all for that.
Is there a community or group of people in Kansas that you think are having the right to vote infringement on under current law?
Absolutely, absolutely. The same population in general. Minorities, Latinos, African Americans, and quite frankly, our shift workers. Those people who go in and have to work hours that are not conducive with the 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. voter polls opening and closing. My husband comes from farmers on both sides of his family. I can tell you there's times of the year, and November is one of those, where they are out there in the fields from 4 a.m. until 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Those are people that deserve the right to have access to cast their ballots from every corner of Kansas. And the harder we make it for them to vote, the less they get a vote.
One or two more questions and then we'll wrap up.
Countywide voting, you're in favor of people voting any place in the county they live in?
Absolutely. Let's be very clear. That's currently the law in the state of Kansas. And if you do early voting, you get to go to the polling place. And in South Johnson County, where I live, you can go to 3 different places to cast early voting. So if I wanted to vote on election day, I have a very specific place where I need to go vote, which I do. But if I wanted to vote early, there's several different places I could go. There's no reason for that disparity. Current laws say that, hey, if I get off from work and the polling place that's closest to my office is open, I have 15 minutes to get there, I have a right to go stand in there and cast my vote. So yes, I believe that we should have access to polling places in the county where we are legally registered to vote.
Have any problem with notaries?
Do I have any problem with notaries?
Yeah, right.
Are you a notary? I tend to often need them. I like them very much. They're handsome people who like to contribute to my campaign.
Is there one more question? All right. Thank you, reporters. Y'all are great.
Thank you very much.